How's it going, everybody? It's Mike from PC Classic Cars, back with another test drive video. Today we are in this 1987 Buick Grand National with 16,000 original miles on it. Alright, we're good on both sides. So again, we have an 87 Grand National. It's got 16,000 original miles on it. As far as the mechanicals go, it has the original numbers matching 3.8 liter V6 in it. Obviously, it's got the turbo, and then it's backed by the 200 R4 overdrive automatic transmission. This one does have a aftermarket shift kit installed, so the transmission does shift a little bit more positive than it would have been when it was stock. So it does shift nice and positive, and this drives like a stock 16,000 mile Grand National should drive like. As far as some modifications, this one does have an aftermarket gauge here in the A-pillar, and then it does have aftermarket muffler as well. It does have a upgraded cold air intake and an upgraded intercooler. A couple other smaller little imperfections, but minor stuff. As you do see, our service engine light did come on. I'm not sure what's going on there. But that's something that I will address as soon as I get back from the test drive. It's just one of those things that unfortunately sometimes lights come on, so we'll get our scanner on it, we'll check it out, see what's going on with the check engine light. Most likely it's probably just a sensor, so again, that's definitely something that I'll address before the next owner takes delivery of the car. Again, back on the drivability, drives like a stock style Grand National. You can hop in this thing and drive it anywhere you want to go. Showing 16,069 miles. All of your gauges, all of your lights, the wipers, the heater, the AC, stereo, all that stuff functions properly. This one is a concert stereo, so it does have the upgraded speakers and the door panels. But other than that, I mean, the Grand Nationals didn't have a ton of options. You could actually get them with power windows or manual windows. Not sure about the power locks or manual locks. I think all of them were power locks, but I've definitely had a Grand National with manual windows before, but this one is optioned with the power, so that's really cool, and all that stuff does work. And then, like all Grand Nationals, or most Grand Nationals, excuse me, you do have tilt, and then this one does have cruise as well. This one does have the aftermarket digital temp gauge underneath the dash. It's actually a really cool, like, period correct thing. Someone probably did that back in the day, probably back in the 90s. I've seen it on a couple other Grand Nationals. It's just kind of a cool old school modification. Warmed up, we'll kind of get on it here a little bit. And that was about a third throttle. Definitely runs better than a stock Grand National. It's had some little things done, but again, you can hop in this thing and drive it every single day. Just a really, really fun car to drive. On your interior, a couple minor wear items. You have a small little crack on the horn surround, just a small little spot there. Just a small little crack on the top of the dash over there. And then there's a small little tear in the original seat cover over here on the passenger side. If you check out the additional infos tab on my website underneath all of my vehicles, you'll see the images of flaws, extra images of motor numbers, Carfaxes, things like that. So we add that to all of our vehicles that we post up for sale. So you'll see those photos of the imperfections on there on the website. Speaking of the Carfax, this one does have clean Carfax, no accidents, no damage ever reported, and it is a 16,000 mile car, which is really cool. Underside, super clean, no problems, but it's what you'd expect a low mileage car to look like on the bottom side. And then the biggest disclaimer that I really want to dive into with people, whenever I sell someone a Grand National, if they've owned one or they're looking for their first Grand National, the biggest disclaimer on these cars is always the paint. If you're looking at a Grand National that has super nice, very, very clean, no imperfections in the black paint, it's going to be repainted. When you walk up to a low mileage original Grand National, they're notorious for having paint imperfections. Back in the day when these cars were brand new, the paint was not very nice and they were susceptible to a lot of problems. They got checking, they got imperfections. Just kind of a known fact about Grand Nationals is original paint cars do have imperfections and do have flaws, and this car kind of suffers from some of those imperfections. Don't get me wrong, walking up to the car, it still shows nice. It looks like it does in the photos. But when you get close, upon close inspection, you'll see some checking. You'll see some little touch-ups from it being driven. You'll see some just miscellaneous minor flaws. Again, all really normal for an original paint Grand National. I'd say most of the paint on this car, if not all of it, is original paint. I do think the bumper fillers have probably been redone because they do look good. But walking around the car, you do have the checking on the hood, you do have the checking on the roof, the sail panels, just minor things kind of front to back, just to be expected with an original paint car, like I said before. Suspension wise, it does have aftermarket Hotchkiss upper and lower control arms in the back, but other than that, it drives like a stock Grand National. Going down this bumpy road, it performs really well. Suspension doesn't have any weird sounds, no squeaks, no rattles, so it performs well going down a straight road or also this bumpy road. Just a really easy car to drive. You have your digital RPM gauge and you have your digital boost gauge, and both of those work. I always try to keep 1-2 Grand Nationals in my inventory. They're always really popular cars. There's plenty of Grand Nationals out there that have 80 to 150,000 miles, and there's nothing wrong with those cars, but I try and buy them with really low miles. It's just a tough thing to do, but when I get them, people always love them. They always sell. They're just really fun cars. And a fun fact, if you don't know this, in 1987, the Grand National was the fastest production car across all car companies in the United States. So if you went to a dealership in 1987 and bought a Grand National, you were buying the fastest production car in America at the time, which is really cool. Overall feel, this is a fantastic car. Love Grand Nationals. This one is no exception to that. It's a great car. You do have your normal wear items like we talked about, but it's just kind of general knowledge when you're getting a Grand National that they all have the similar imperfections when it comes to the cosmetics. But this one drives excellent. I love some of the minor tweaks that they did. Probably all very period correct stuff back done when the car was probably new. Just overall, love this car. Fantastic Grand National, and I expect it to probably sell pretty quick. And then again, touching on the service engine light, I'll get that addressed, figure out what it is. It's most likely probably just a sensor. So I'll get that taken care of. As always, I really appreciate you guys stopping in to watch another one of my test drive videos. If there's ever anything else that you want to see, don't hesitate to leave a comment on the YouTube channel, or you can reach out to us directly. Hit that subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, or check us out at pcclassiccars.com. And we will see you guys on the next test drive video. Thanks again for watching.